My name is Angelina Esquivel, 33 years old. I'm standing in the middle of the Arizona Biltmore Ballroom, surrounded by 195 guests in black tie attire, crystal chandeliers overhead, a champagne tower glittering under warm light. My father just raised his glass for a toast at his 38th wedding anniversary. He said, "Our first daughter was a wrong order." My mother laughed and added, "We fixed it with a son." The room erupted in laughter. I didn't cry, I didn't scream. I smiled, raised my glass, and said clearly, "Cheers to 38 years, you won't see me again." I placed a black gift box on their table, elegant silver ribbon, no card. My father's hand froze mid-reach. I turned and walked toward the exit, my heels clicking on marble. Behind me I heard the box open. Then silence. Dead silence. What happened next? Let me take you back 33 years to show you how a wrong order became the architect of her own justice. If you want to see how receipts and legal leverage can rewrite a family's power structure, stay with me, hit subscribe. You'll need to see how this ends. Now let me take you back to 1992, when the wrong order was born. I was born in Phoenix, Arizona, in the summer of 1992. My father, Victor Escobel, was 32 then, a rising real estate developer who'd just started building what would become Esquibel Properties. My mother, Diane, was 30, a former pageant contestant who'd given up her dreams to support Victor's ambitions. They wanted a son, a boy they could groom from birth to take over the empire they planned to build. Instead, they got me. My mother's pregnancy with me was difficult. She almost died during delivery. I've heard the story 1,000 times, how the doctors warned her she might not survive, how she spent 3 days in ICU afterward. She blamed me, not the medical complications, not the random chance of biology. Me, the wrong baby, the accident. 5 years later, my brother Garrett was born. Planned C-section, easy delivery, perfect timing. The golden boy had arrived. I remember Garrett's 5th birthday party. I was 7 years old, standing in the backyard of our Phoenix home, watching a magician pull rabbits from a hat, while 40 kids screamed with delight. There was a petting zoo, goats, ponies, miniature donkeys, a bounce house shaped like a castle, a 3-tier cake with Garrett's face printed on it in edible ink. My mother hired photographers. My father rented out the entire park pavilion. 2 months later, it was my 7th birthday. We had a Costco sheet cake in the kitchen. 3 cousins came over. My mother said we couldn't afford anything bigger. Business was slow. But I'd seen the credit card statement on the counter. Garrett's party cost $4,200. When I was 10, I asked my father why Garrett had a baby book with 300 photos. Every milestone documented, every first word, every Halloween costume, and mine had 12 photos, half the pages blank. He looked at me like I'd asked him to explain quantum physics. "Your mother was tired after you were born, Angelina. She had a difficult recovery. But she wasn't too tired to document every second of Garrett's life." At 15, I decided I wanted to be an architect. My grandmother Eleanor, my father's mother, used to take me to construction sites. She'd walk me through buildings under development, pointing out load-bearing walls, explaining how foundations settled, showing me blueprints spread across folding tables and site trailers. She'd been a real estate broker for 35 years. One of the first women in Phoenix to build a successful practice back when clients wouldn't shake her hand because she wore skirts instead of suits. "You see how this beam carries the weight of the entire second floor?" she'd say, tracing her finger along the drawings. "That's integrity. The whole building depends on it. People lie, Angelina, but buildings don't. They either stand or they fall." I loved her. She was the only person in my family who looked at me and saw something worth building. The summer I turned 15, I asked my father if I could intern at Esquibel Properties. I wrote a 3-page proposal explaining why I'd be a good fit. I'd taken drafting classes, I had straight A's, I'd work for free. I just wanted to learn. I left the proposal on his desk. He never read it. I know because it sat there for 6 weeks, accumulating coffee rings, before I finally threw it away. When I asked him about it directly, he said, Angelina, you're a girl. Real estate is a man's world. Clients won't take you seriously. Plus, you'll just get married and quit. Why waste the training? 2 months later, Garrett, 13 years old, no business experience, no interest in buildings, started shadowing my father every Saturday. He's a natural leader, my father told everyone. He's going to run this company someday. I was standing right there when he said it. He didn't look at me once. That night, I heard my father talking to my mother in the kitchen. I was supposed to be asleep, but I'd come downstairs for water. I stopped at the doorway when I heard my name. Thank God Garrett's a boy, my father said. Can you imagine Angelina running the company? She'd probably turn it into some non-profit art project. My mother laughed. She's too emotional, too soft. Real estate needs someone with thick skin. I went back upstairs. I didn't drink the water. I lay in bed and stared at the ceiling and thought, I need to leave this house. I graduated high school in 2010, top of my class, got into Arizona State University on a partial academic scholarship, asked my parents for help with the remaining tuition, $18,000 a year. My father said, We'll help, but you need to contribute too. Character building. Translation. I took out $72,000 in student loans over 4 years. I worked 25 hours a week at the campus bookstore, shelving textbooks and ringing up sales while other students went to parties. I lived in a studio apartment with 2 roommates, sleeping on a futon in the living room because we couldn't afford a 3-bedroom. In 2015, Garrett got into USC's business school. Full tuition paid by my parents, $65,000 a year, plus a $2,500 monthly allowance for expenses, plus a new BMW 3 Series for his 21st birthday. I was driving a 2001 Honda Civic with 145,000 miles that I'd bought off Craigslist for $2,800. I asked my father about the discrepancy once. He sent me an email. I still have it. Angelina, we believe in teaching responsibility. Your loans will make you appreciate your education. Garrett's situation is different. He's preparing to run the company, so we're investing in his future. Hope you understand. Dad. I understood perfectly. I graduated from Arizona State in 2014, summa cum laude. At my graduation dinner, my father raised his glass and said, To Garrett, who just finished his freshman year at USC, the future CEO of Escabel Properties. No toast for me. Garrett smirked across the table. My mother adjusted her necklace and changed the subject. The waiter asked if I wanted dessert. I said no. I had a student loan payment due in 6 months, and I was already calculating how many extra shifts I'd need to cover it. I went to Arizona State Law the following year. Another $60,000 in loans. I worked part-time at the law library, updating legal databases and filing briefs for professors who paid me $12 an hour. I passed the bar exam in 2018, top 15% of my class. I was 26 years old, $132,000 in debt, and the only member of my family with a professional license. I sent my father a formal proposal, hire me as in-house counsel for Esquibel Properties. Market rate for entry-level corporate attorneys in Phoenix was $85,000. I asked for $68,000, 20% below market, because I wanted to prove myself. I drafted a 10-page memo outlining how I could save the company money on outside legal fees, handle contract reviews, manage risk assessment. My father's response came 3 days later. 1 paragraph. Angelina, family and business don't mix. It creates conflicts of interest. I'm sure you'll find a great opportunity elsewhere. Dad. 2 months later, Garrett, 21 years old, no degree yet, no professional experience, was hired as VP of Acquisitions at $95,000 a year. I called my grandmother Eleanor that night. I was crying so hard I could barely speak. She listened for 20 minutes without interrupting. When I finally stopped, she said, Baby girl, your father's afraid of you. You're smarter than him, and he knows it. One day, you'll prove it. I didn't believe her then, but I should have. Thanksgiving 2018. I flew home to Phoenix for the holiday, first time I'd been back in 6 months. I'd taken a job at a boutique law firm in Seattle, specializing in real estate and IP law. The distance helped. I could breathe there. Dinner was at my parents' house. Victor, Diane, Garrett, two uncles who both worked at the company. The table was set with my mother's good china. Turkey, mashed potatoes, green bean casserole, normal on the surface. My uncle asked me about Seattle. I started to answer, told him about the firm, about the cases I was working on. My mother interrupted. Angelina went to law school to find a rich husband, she said, loud enough for everyone to hear. Hasn't worked out yet. The table laughed. Garrett smirked into his wineglass. My father didn't say anything, just cut his turkey and avoided my eyes. I excused myself to the bathroom, locked the door, opened the notes app on my phone and typed, "Note to self, stop expecting them to see me. They never will." I didn't go home for Christmas that year. My father texted me, "Suit yourself. Garrett's here, that's all that matters." I learned early. I wasn't the wrong order. I was just ordered to the wrong family. June 2019. I was 27, living in Seattle, working 60-hour weeks at the firm. It was a Sunday night, 11 p.m. I was about to go to bed when my phone rang. Victor. I almost didn't answer. We hadn't spoken in 6 months, but something made me pick up. "Angelina," he said. His voice was strained. "We have an emergency. Construction defect lawsuit. Clients claiming our building has structural issues, foundation cracks, HVAC failures, electrical code violations. They're suing for $1.8 million. Our regular attorney's on vacation in Europe, unreachable. Can you help? Just a quick consult?" I should have said no. I should have told him to find another lawyer. But he sounded desperate, and some pathetic part of me still wanted him to need me. "I charge $320 an hour for consulting," I said. "Angelina, this is family. We'll work something out. Just help us not lose everything, please." That word, please, from a man who'd never asked me for anything. I agreed to review the complaint over the weekend. The complaint was worse than he'd described. The plaintiff, a commercial tenant who'd leased space in one of our buildings, was alleging catastrophic failures, foundation settling unevenly, HVAC system failing within 6 months of installation, electrical wiring that didn't meet city code. They were claiming $1.8 million in damages, lost business revenue, relocation costs, repairs, punitive damages for negligence. I dug into the case, reviewed the original purchase contract, inspection reports, city permits, email chains between Garrett, who'd managed this acquisition, and the contractors, and I found it. Garrett had skipped the final city inspection to close the deal faster. He wanted his commission bonus before the quarter ended. The inspection would have caught the electrical issues, outdated wiring that hadn't been upgraded when the building changed from residential to commercial use. State law required it. Garrett ignored it. He'd committed fraud. Not intentional, maybe, just reckless, stupid fraud, but fraud nonetheless. I worked 90 hours over 3 weeks. I drafted a settlement agreement. I negotiated with the plaintiff's attorney, a shark from a downtown Phoenix firm who smelled blood. I found a loophole. The lease agreement had an as-is clause buried in Section 12.4, and the plaintiff had signed a final walkthrough acknowledgement without noting any objections. That documentation was in Exhibit C of the contract. I wrote to the plaintiff's attorney. Per Section 12.4 of the lease agreement, plaintiff waived right to sue for pre-existing conditions. Arbitration mandatory. Also, your client signed final walkthrough without objection, documented in Exhibit C. We're willing to settle for $520,000 to avoid arbitration costs. Counter by Friday or we proceed. They settled. $520,000. I'd saved my father's company $1.3 million. I sent Victor an itemized invoice. 90 hours at $320 per hour. Total, $28,800. Professional, fair. Below what any firm would charge for saving him over $1 million. He called me. He was angry. What is this invoice? You're charging your own father? Dad, I worked 90 hours. I saved you $1.3 million. This is standard billing. Angelina, your family. This is your duty. We raised you. We paid for your... You didn't pay for my education. I have $132,000 in student loans. Garrett has zero. That's different. Garrett's running the company. I just saved the company. Silence. Then, I'm disappointed in you, Angelina. A daughter should help her family without expecting payment. He hung up. My mother called an hour later on speakerphone from Victor's office. Angelina, this is very unbecoming. You're embarrassing us. What if people found out you charged your own father? Mom, I'm a professional. This is how the law works. Well, maybe that's why you're still single. Men don't like women who are so transactional. I marked the invoice past due after 60 days. Then I wrote it off. The emotional toll wasn't worth collections. I texted my grandmother, Eleanor. I'm done. I'm never helping them again. She replied immediately. Good. You deserve better, my girl. Come visit me next month. I have something to tell you. 2 months later, in August, Garrett posted on LinkedIn. Proud to announce we successfully resolved a major litigation matter that threatened our company. Grateful for my team's hard work and strategic thinking. Onward. 240 likes. Comments praising his leadership. No mention of me. No mention of the 90 hours I'd spent saving his incompetent ass. I took a screenshot. Saved it in a folder on my laptop labeled Receipts. I didn't comment. I didn't call him out. I just filed it away. Because I was learning something important. Documentation beats confrontation. Evidence outlasts anger. I booked a flight to Phoenix to visit Grandma Eleanor. It was September 2019. She sounded weak on the phone. Come soon, baby girl. We need to talk about your future. I saved their empire. They didn't even say thank you. September 2019. I flew to Phoenix on a Friday afternoon. My grandmother lived in a small rental condo in Tempe. 1 bedroom, modest furniture, walls covered in photos of me. My graduations, my bar exam results. Every milestone my parents ignored, she documented. She looked thinner than I remembered. Her hands shook slightly when she poured tea, but her eyes were still sharp, those clear blue eyes that had always seen through everyone's bullshit. I have stage 4 pancreatic cancer, she said. No preamble, just facts. Doctors say 6 to 12 months. I broke. I couldn't help it. I put my head in my hands and sobbed, ugly crying, the kind where you can't breathe. She came around the table and held me like she had when I was 8 years old. Don't cry, baby. I've had a good life. But I need to tell you something important. She explained that she'd been updating her will. She wanted me to know what was coming, not the details, but the shape of it. I would inherit 25% of Esquibel Properties, shares she'd kept from the original founding in 1987. 3 rental properties in Phoenix, generating about $8,500 a month in income. And something else she couldn't tell me yet. You don't have to give me anything, Grandma. Hush, you earned it. You're the only one who ever saw me as more than Victor's mother. She gripped my hand. Her fingers were cold. Your father's a good man, Angelina, but he's weak. He takes credit for my work, my sacrifice. And your mother? She's afraid of strong women. That's why she treats you the way she does. Fear. Grandma, they hate me. They don't hate you, baby. They fear you. Because you're everything they're not. Honest, brilliant, self-made. She leaned closer. Promise me something. When I'm gone, don't let them erase me. And don't let them erase you. I promised. She walked me to the door, whispered, "There's a letter in my safety deposit box. My attorney will give it to you 1 year after I die. Read it when you're ready to fight." "Fight who?" She smiled sadly. "You'll know." Let me take you back further, to 2000, when I was 8 years old and my grandmother was still working full-time as a broker. She brought me to her office one Saturday, a small space in a strip mall in Scottsdale, the walls covered in property listings and framed licenses. She showed me blueprints of the first building Esquibel Properties ever developed, an 8-unit apartment complex in Tempe, built in 1987. The plans were spread across her desk, yellowed at the edges, held down by a coffee mug and a stapler. "Your grandpa and I built this with our own hands," she said. "Well, we hired the crew, but we designed it, financed it, managed it. Your father was 23 then, still learning. Eager, though. Smart. He helped." "Did Daddy help a lot?" She laughed. "He was learning, baby. That's what sons do, they learn from their parents. And then, if you're lucky, they remember to say thank you." She let me trace the blueprint lines with colored pencils. I spent an hour turning structural drawings into abstract art, red for load-bearing walls, blue for plumbing, yellow for electrical conduits. "You know what I love about architecture, baby?" she said, watching me. "It's honest. A building either stands or it falls, no room for lies." "Grandma, can girls be architects?" She looked at me like I'd just asked the most obvious question in the world. "Can girls be architects? Oh, honey, the best ones are." That's when I fell in love with buildings. Let me tell you about 2009, the year that changed everything, though I didn't know it then. I was 17. The Great Recession was in full swing. Lehman Brothers had collapsed. The housing market imploded. Construction stopped. Real estate developers were going bankrupt across the country. Esquibel Properties was dying. My father had overextended, leveraged 3 new projects based on pre-recession valuations that evaporated overnight. The bank was threatening foreclosure. Payroll was 2 months behind. Clients were walking away from signed contracts, willing to lose their deposits rather than close on properties worth half what they'd agreed to pay. Victor went to his mother. My grandmother Eleanor was 67 then, recently retired. She lived in a modest house she'd paid off over 30 years, a 3-bedroom ranch in Glendale, nothing fancy, but hers. She had savings from decades of brokerage work, about $680,000 in retirement accounts. My father needed exactly that much to save the company. She mortgaged her house, cashed out her retirement, gave him everything. He signed a promissory note. I've seen it since, the original document, notarized and legal. I, Victor Esquibel, hereby acknowledge receipt of $680,000 from Eleanor Hartman Esquibel on March 15, 2009. Full repayment due by March 15, 2014, with 6% annual compound interest. If unpaid at time of lender's death, outstanding balance plus accrued interest transfers to Angelina Maria Esquibel, with full right to demand immediate payment or convert to equity in Esquibel Properties. Signed under oath. In the margin, in Eleanor's handwriting, "Victor promised to pay me back, but if he doesn't, Angelina will make sure I'm remembered." The company survived. My father never repaid her. By 2012, Eleanor had to sell her house to pay off the mortgage she'd taken out for him. She moved into a 1-bedroom rental condo, $950 a month. She lived there until she died. Meanwhile, my parents bought a $2.3 million house in Paradise Valley, 6 bedrooms, infinity pool, 3-car garage. Garrett got the BMW. I got student loan statements. I didn't know about the loan. Eleanor never told me. She didn't want to burden me. But she kept that promissory note in a safety deposit box at Bank of America, along with a sealed letter addressed to me. She died on January 18, 2024. Pancreatic cancer. She fought 16 months instead of 12, longer than the doctors predicted, because she was stubborn as hell. The funeral was on January 22nd. 60 people. My father gave the eulogy. My mother was a saint, he said, standing at the podium in his black suit, voice breaking just slightly. She sacrificed everything for this family. She taught me the value of hard work, of integrity, of always putting family first. He didn't mention the $680,000. He didn't mention that she died in a rental condo while he lived in a mansion. He didn't mention that she'd asked him for repayment, year after year, and he'd said, "Business is slow, Mom. Soon, I promise." Garrett read a Bible verse. My mother dabbed her eyes with a tissue. She who hadn't visited Eleanor once during chemo. I sat in the back row. I didn't cry. I'd cried all my tears in private, over the phone with her during her last months, holding her hand in hospice when she slipped in and out of consciousness. After the service, my father approached me. "Thank you for coming. I know you and Mom were close." I nodded, didn't trust myself to speak. At the reception, I overheard my uncle talking to Victor by the dessert table. "Your mom was so proud of you. She always said you built an empire." "I couldn't have done it without her," Victor said. "She believed in me when no one else did." I was standing 10 feet away. He didn't look at me. Before they closed the casket, I placed a drawing inside. A blueprint I'd sketched when I was 10 years old, crude and childish, of a building I'd wanted to design someday. Eleanor had kept it in a frame on her wall for 23 years. I whispered, "I'll finish what you started, Grandma." A man approached me after the funeral. Late 60s, silver hair, kind eyes. "Ms. Esquibel, I'm Samuel Brennan. I was your grandmother's attorney and friend. She left specific instructions for me to contact you. I'll be in touch within 6 months." He handed me his business card. I pocketed it and didn't think about it again. I was too numb, too exhausted from grief. But 6 months later, in July 2024, Brennan called. "Ms. Esquibel, I need you to come to Phoenix. It's time to execute your grandmother's will." I flew in the next week. Didn't tell my family. Sat in Brennan's office, wood-paneled, old-school, shelves lined with legal volumes, and listened as he read through the assets. "You inherit 25% ownership of Esquibel Properties, LLC, stock certificate number 00127, issued to Eleanor Hartman Esquibel in 1987, never sold or transferred until now. 3 rental properties at the following addresses, deeds enclosed. Your grandmother's personal effects, including photographs and documents stored in her safety deposit box. And this." He handed me a thick envelope, sealed with red wax embossed with an E. My grandmother's handwriting across the front. "To my darling Angelina, open January 18th, 2025. You'll know what to do. I love you beyond measure. Grandma Eleanor." She was very specific, Brennan said. "You're to open this in January 2025, 1 year after her death. She said you'd need time to grieve before you could fight." "Fight what?" He smiled. "She also left documentation of a promissory note. Your father borrowed $680,000 from her in 2009, unpaid. With 16 years of compound interest at 6% annually, the current balance is $1,625,000. The note specifies that upon her death, the debt transfers to you. You have legal right to demand payment." I stared at him. My hands were shaking. "This is all yours, Ms. Esquibel. No contest. Your grandmother prepared for every contingency. Should your family attempt to dispute the will, I've been retained to defend your inheritance at no cost to you." I walked out of his office holding that envelope, sat in my rental car for 20 minutes, texted my therapist. "I need an emergency session. My grandmother just gave me a weapon." I drove past the Esquibel Properties building, 10 stories, downtown Phoenix, gleaming glass and steel. I'd never been inside, never been invited. I parked across the street and stared at it, 25%. I owned a quarter of that. She was the only one who saw me, and she made sure I'd never be invisible again. October 2024. 3 months after the will reading. Probate complete. The shareholder registry went public. Victor received a formal notice from the Arizona Corporation Commission. Shareholder Registry Update, Esquivel Properties, LLC. New shareholder, Angelina Maria Esquivel, 25% ownership, transferred from estate of Eleanor Hartman Esquivel, deceased. He called his attorney. Then he called me, 5 times. I didn't answer. He left a voicemail. Angelina, it's your father. I got the shareholder notice. I wish Mom had told me about this before she passed. Look, I know we've had our differences, but you're family. Let's sit down like adults and figure this out. Maybe we can buy out your shares. Fair market value, of course. Call me back, please. I listened to it 3 times, saved it. Texted Brennan. They're panicking. Good. Victor's attorney sent him an email. I got a copy later, through Discovery. Victor, I've reviewed the documentation. Eleanor's will is uncontestable, professionally drafted, witnessed by 3 parties, notarized, no signs of undue influence. Angelina is now legally a 25% shareholder. She has rights to a board seat, financial records access, veto power on major decisions requiring more than 50% approval, and dividend distributions. My advice: accept this and maintain family peace. Litigation would be expensive and futile. My father held an emergency family conference call. Victor, Diane, Garrett, the 2 uncles who worked at the company. I wasn't invited, obviously. But one of the uncles recorded it. He sent me the audio file months later, after everything came out. Victor's voice, strained. My mother went behind my back. She gave Angelina 25% without telling me. Diane. Can we buy her out? Uncle number 1. At what price? 25% of a $12 million company? That's $3 million. We don't have liquid cash. Garrett nervous. Wait, does this mean Angelina can see our books? Like financial statements? Victor. Yes. She has shareholder access. Long silence on the recording. Garrett's voice again, barely audible. Oh, fuck. Diane. We need to call her. Negotiate. She's family, she'll be reasonable. Victor. Angelina hasn't returned my calls in 3 months. While they spiraled, I focused on Eleanor's other gifts. The 3 rental properties, 2-bedroom townhouses in decent Phoenix neighborhoods, older but well-maintained. The property manager called me. Ms. Esquivel, I'm so sorry for your loss. Your grandmother was wonderful to work with. Just so you know, the properties generate about $8,500 a month in rental income. All tenants current, leases solid. I'll keep managing unless you want to make changes. Please keep managing. Send me monthly reports. Will do. She left everything organized for you. Property files, maintenance records, tenant histories. She was meticulous. That first deposit hit my checking account in September. $7,890 after expenses. I stared at it for a full minute. It was more than I made in a month at my first legal job. Passive income. Eleanor's gift. For the first time in my life, I wasn't drowning. I texted my therapist. I'm not drowning anymore. Garrett texted me. Hey, Ang, can we talk? I heard about Grandma's will. Congrats. Coffee sometime? I archived the message without responding. I kept the sealed envelope in a fireproof safe in my Seattle apartment. Sometimes I'd take it out, hold it, run my fingers over the wax seal. 3 months until January 18th, 2025. 3 months until I could open it. Brennan called to check in. Ms. Esquivel, just a reminder. January 18th is when you can open the letter. Your grandmother was very specific about timing. She said, Angelina needs time to grieve before she fights. Do you know what's in it? I do. And I can tell you this. It will change everything. Per my shareholder rights, I sent a formal request through Brennan, requesting full financial records for Esquivel Properties, LLC, fiscal years 2019 through 2024. Please provide within 30 days per Arizona LLC statute. Victor's attorney sent the records. 380 pages of PDFs. balance sheets, income statements, expense reports, bank transactions. I started reviewing them the night they arrived. I'm a corporate attorney. I know how to read financials, how to spot irregularities, and they were everywhere. Marketing expenses spiked in 2022 and 2023, $186,000 total. But I cross-referenced with the company's public project list, checked their social media presence, called a few vendors. There were no marketing campaigns. None. Business travel charges on Garrett's corporate card, Vegas, Cabo, Miami. I looked up the dates. No projects in any of those cities. Just trips. Wire transfers labeled consulting fees to an LLC called Phoenix Advisors. I ran the registration. The LLC was owned by Garrett, registered to his home address. I created a spreadsheet. 47 suspicious transactions. Total $186,430. I texted Brennan. I need a forensic accountant, now. He referred me to Rebecca Moss, a CPA with a certified fraud examiner credential. I paid her $12,500 to review 5 years of records. She worked for 3 weeks. Her report landed in my email on December 10th, 2024. Executive Summary. Analysis reveals systematic misuse of company funds by VP of Acquisitions, Garrett Esquibel, from January 2022 through October 2024. Pattern includes creation of shell company to invoice for non-existent services, $78,000. Personal travel expenses misclassified as business, $31,400. Luxury purchases coded as marketing, $52,200. Cash withdrawals lacking receipts, $24,830. Total, $186,430. Conclusion. Evidence supports embezzlement claim. Recommend immediate internal investigation and potential law enforcement notification. I read it twice. Then I called Brennan. I have proof Garrett embezzled $186,000. What are my options? You can report to police. You can demand restitution via board action, or you can use it as leverage. But Angelina, before you decide, it's almost January 18th. Open your grandmother's letter first. They thought Grandma left me memories. She left me leverage. January 18th, 2025, exactly 1 year after Eleanor died. I woke up early in my Seattle apartment, made coffee, lit a lavender candle, her favorite scent, sat at my kitchen table with the envelope. The wax seal broke easily. Inside, 12 pages. Eleanor's handwriting, elegant cursive that slanted slightly to the right. My dearest Angelina, if you're reading this, I've been gone a year. I hope you've grieved me properly. I don't want you crying forever, baby girl. But now it's time to fight. I need to tell you something your father never wanted you to know. My hands were shaking. I kept reading. In 2009, your father's company was dying. He came to me desperate. He needed $680,000 to save it. I gave him everything I had. I sold my house, Angelina. The house your grandfather and I bought in 1982, where we raised Victor, where you used to play in the backyard. I cashed out my retirement, every dollar I'd saved over 35 years of work. I gave it all to him because he's my son, and I believed him when he said he'd pay me back. I had to stop, put the letter down, breathed. He promised me 5 years. It's been 16 years, Angelina. He never paid me a dime. I died in a rental condo while he lived in a mansion with a pool. I'm not telling you this to make you hate him. He's still your father, and hate is poison. But I'm telling you this so you understand. He takes and never gives back. Not to me. Not to you. The next paragraph was underlined. I added your name to the promissory note on purpose. If I died before he repaid me, the debt would transfer to you. Why? Because you're the only one with the spine to collect. The note is legal, enforceable. With 16 years of compound interest at 6%, it's worth about $1.6 million now. You can demand payment. Or you can convert it to equity, 38% more ownership. That would give you 63%. Controlling interest. You'd own the company, Angelina. The company I built. The company that should have been yours from the beginning. I was crying, couldn't help it. I should have fought harder when Victor dismissed you. I should have said something when Diane called you wrong order at that Thanksgiving dinner. I stayed quiet because I thought family peace mattered more than justice. I was wrong. You deserved better. So here's my gift to you. The tools to rewrite this family story. Use them however you see fit. Burn it all down or rebuild it better. I trust you. You're not a wrong order, baby. You're the correction. Fix what I couldn't. I love you. Grandma Eleanor. Attached to the letter, the original promissory note, yellowed paper, Victor's signature at the bottom, notary stamp from March 15th, 2009, and 40 pages of diary excerpts. I read them. Eleanor's voice, year after year. March 2010, Victor promised to pay $50,000 this year, still waiting. November 2011, asked Victor about the loan. He said business is slow, but I drove past their house yesterday. They're renovating the kitchen, marble countertops. June 2013, Victor said he'll start payments next quarter. I saw Garrett's new BMW in the driveway, $60,000 car, but no payment to me. April 2016, I need to move. Can't afford the mortgage anymore. Victor says he'll help soon. I'm selling the house next month. January 2018, asked Victor directly, "Are you ever going to pay me back?" He said, "Mom, you know I'm good for it." I don't think he is. October 2022, doctor says I have cancer, 6 months, maybe a year. I called my attorney. Time to make sure Angelina gets what she deserves. I called Brennan. My voice was shaking. I opened the letter. And? She wants me to take the company. Then let's begin. We met in his office 2 days later. He walked me through the math. Current ownership, Victor has 60%, Diane has 15, you have 25. If you convert the $625 million debt to equity, here's what happens. The debt represents about 13.5% dilution across all shareholders. You get 38% additional shares from the conversion. Your new total, 63%. Victor drops to 44, Diane to 11. You become the majority shareholder, controlling interest. He wrote it on his whiteboard. I stared at the numbers. 63%. I owned the company Eleanor built, the company that had rejected me, humiliated me, stolen my work and my credit. What do you want to do? Brennan asked. I want them to understand what they did. I want receipts. I want justice. Then we go with equity conversion. And with the audit report on Garrett, you'll have leverage to force any terms you want. When do we drop the hammer? I smiled. Their 38th wedding anniversary, March 8th, 2025. I want everyone to see. We spent February preparing the gift box. Black box, 12 by 8 by 6 inches, silver ribbon, elegant. Inside, the promissory note, framed under glass. A demand letter on Brennan's letterhead. Ms. Angelina Escobel, creditor, hereby demands payment of $16,250,000 within 60 days of receipt, due May 8th, 2025. Failure to pay will result in conversion of debt to 38% equity per terms of original note. Debtor, Victor Escobel/Esquibel Properties, LLC. The Forensic Audit Report, Executive Summary, 3 pages. Eleanor's diary excerpts, 10 pages. Proof he never intended to repay her. A letter from me, handwritten. You called me a wrong order. Grandma Eleanor called me her architect. She saved your company in 2009. You let her die poor. I'm collecting what she's owed, with interest. You have 60 days. Pay the debt or I take 63% of the company. Your choice. You won't see me again after tonight. Angelina. A photo of Eleanor from 1987. Hard hat, holding a shovel at the ribbon cutting of that first building. Smiling, business cards, Brennan's, Rebecca Moss's. Proof I'd prepared. I wrapped the box myself. Late night in my apartment, hands steady. I felt calm, clear. I texted my therapist. I'm ready. I booked a flight to Phoenix. March 7th, one day before the party. Bought a black dress, elegant, not flashy. Practiced my exit line in the mirror. Cheers, you won't see me again. I didn't just inherit shares, I inherited ammunition. March 8th, 2025, 6:30 p.m. The Arizona Biltmore Resort. Built in 1929, Frank Lloyd Wright. Inspired architecture, copper-roofed ballroom with soaring ceilings and geometric patterns in the windows. It's the kind of place people choose when they want to show off. I arrived alone. Uber from the airport hotel. I didn't want anyone tracking my rental car, didn't want questions. Black floor-length dress, minimal jewelry, hair in a low bun. I carried a small clutch. The gift box was already there, checked with the code attendant. At the entrance, the coordinator checked the guest list. My name was crossed off. Oh, Ms. Esquivel, we weren't expecting you. Let me find you a seat. I'll stand in back. I'm not staying long. Inside, the ballroom glowed. Warm amber lighting from massive crystal chandeliers. 20 round tables, white linens, gold chargers, orchid centerpieces. A champagne tower near the bar, 6 tiers tall, a jazz quartet playing softly in the corner. 195 guests in black tie attire. The head table, Victor, Diane, Garrett, 2 uncles and their wives. My father wore a navy suit. My mother, a cream-colored gown. Garrett looked nervous, kept checking his phone. I stayed near the back exit, watched. Garrett saw me first. He was talking to a business associate, laughing, then his eyes swept the room and landed on me. His smile froze. He excused himself and walked over. Ang, what are you doing here? Celebrating. Isn't that what we're here for? Does Dad know you're coming? No. Surprise. He looked like he wanted to say more. Instead, he hurried back to the head table, leaned over Victor's shoulder, whispered. My father's head snapped toward the entrance. He saw me. His face went through a sequence. Confusion, annoyance, then a forced smile. He waved me over. I didn't move. Dinner was served. Filet mignon, roasted vegetables, some kind of fancy potato dish. I didn't eat. My stomach was too tight. I just watched the room, waited for the toast. 7:42 p.m. Victor stood, tapped his champagne glass with a fork. Feedback squeal from the microphone, then silence. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us to celebrate 38 years of marriage. Applause. He smiled, that practiced smile he uses with clients. Diane and I are so blessed. Amazing family, thriving business, and 2 wonderful children. Well, mostly. Scattered laughs. He continued. You know, when Diane and I got married, we dreamed of building an empire. We wanted a son to carry on the legacy. Our first child was, let's just say, not what we ordered. Louder laughs now. Some people glanced around, looking for me. I kept my face blank. My mother giggled into her champagne glass. We fixed it with a son! The room erupted. Laughter, applause. Garrett shifted in his seat. He knew I was there. He looked uncomfortable, but he didn't say anything. Victor raised his glass. To Garrett, our golden boy. And to Angelina, wherever she is tonight, we wish her well. I walked forward. The room got quieter as people noticed me moving. Heels clicking on marble. 195 pairs of eyes turning. I reached the head table. Placed the gift box directly between Victor and Diane, right in the center, between their champagne glasses. I picked up an unused glass from the table setting, raised it, smiled, small, controlled. Cheers to 38 years, I said. My voice carried, clear, calm. And cheers to honesty. You won't see me again. I set the glass down, didn't drink, turned, walked toward the exit. The silence was absolute, just my heels on marble. 20 feet to the door. 15, 10. Behind me, my father's voice. What the hell is this? I pushed through the door. Gone. Victor's hands shook as he pulled the silver ribbon. The box opened. Inside, the promissory note, framed under glass. $1,625,000 in bold letters. The demand letter, first page visible. Payment due within 60 days. The audit report. Forensic analysis. Embezzlement findings. His face drained of color. Literally went from pink to gray. Diane grabbed his arm. Victor, what is it? He couldn't speak, just stared at the note. Garrett leaned over, read the demand letter, whispered, loud enough for nearby guests to hear. Oh, fuck. Diane grabbed the letter, read it aloud, voice rising. Demand for payment. $1,625,000. Failure to pay within 60 days will result in conversion to 38% equity. Victor, is this real? Did you owe your mother $1.6 million? Victor, barely audible. I was going to pay her back. She died in a rental condo, Victor. The guests closest to the head table heard everything. Whispers spread like fire. People pulled out phones. The jazz quartet stopped playing. Victor picked up the promissory note, hands trembling. His signature at the bottom. Eleanor's handwritten note in the margin. Victor promised. He lied. Then he saw the audit report. Flipped to the summary page. Garrett Esquibel, systematic misuse of company funds, $186,430, shell company, personal travel, embezzlement. Garrett stood up fast, chair scraping. I can explain. You created a fake company? Dad, it's not. You stole from us? Garrett actually ran, pushed through the crowd toward the side exit, disappeared into the hotel hallway. Diane was sobbing now, mascara running. What is happening? Victor, what did you do? My uncle approached the table. Victor, what's going on? Victor didn't answer. He was reading my letter now, handwritten, the last thing in the box. You called me a wrong order. Grandma Eleanor called me her architect. She saved your company in 2009. You let her die poor. I'm collecting what she's owed, with interest. You have 60 days. Pay the debt, or I take 63% of the company. Your choice. You won't see me again after tonight. Angelina. The photo of Eleanor fell out. 1987. Hard hat, ribbon cutting, smiling. Victor's champagne glass slipped from his hand, shattered on the marble floor. Guests were standing now, craning to see. Someone near the back called out, Is everything okay? Diane collapsed into her chair. We're ruined. Oh God, we're ruined. The band started packing up their instruments. By 8:15 p.m., half the guests had left. The rest stood in clusters, whispering, staring at the head table where Victor sat with his head in his hands. I was in an Uber, heading to the airport hotel. The driver asked, Rough night? I laughed, first genuine laugh in years. No, best night of my life. I checked my phone. 37 missed calls. Victor, Diane, Garrett, the uncles, 18 texts. I didn't read any of them. I blocked all their numbers. I texted Brennan. It's done. Box delivered. I'm out. He responded immediately. Proud of you. Call me tomorrow. We'll discuss next steps. I booked a flight to Seattle for the next morning. Lay in the hotel bed, stared at the ceiling. Thought, Grandma, I hope you saw that. I slept 9 hours. First full night's sleep in months. I walked out of that ballroom a free woman. Behind me, their empires started to crumble. March 9th, 2025. Morning. I woke up to 112 missed calls, turned my phone back on just long enough to see the damage. Victor, 8:04 p.m., night of the party. Angelina, call me now. Victor, 8:06 p.m. This is not funny, we need to talk. Diane, 8:09 p.m. How could you do this to your father? At our anniversary? Garrett, 8:11 p.m. Ang, please don't do this. We can work it out. Please. Uncle number 1, 8:18 p.m. Angelina, your father is having a panic attack. Call him. One voicemail from Brennan. Angelina, they've hired a lawyer. Victor wants to negotiate. Call me when you land. I called Brennan from the airport. They retained Thomas Whitfield, corporate litigation attorney, decent reputation. He's already reached out to me. Victor wants to settle. What are they offering? Nothing yet. Whitfield asked for a meeting. I told him you're not interested in meetings. Terms are clear. $1.625 million by May 8th, or equity conversion. No negotiation. Good. Let them scramble. Victor and Diane met with Whitfield that same day. I got the details later, through discovery and leaked emails. Whitfield reviewed the promissory note, the audit report, delivered the news. The note is enforceable. Eleanor wrote it in 2009. She was 67, sharp, no signs of undue influence. The audit is damning. Your daughter has you by the throat. Victor, can we contest the note? Say Mom was senile? Whitfield, she was 67 when she wrote the transfer clause, 15 years before she died. No judge will buy undue influence. You'd lose and waste money. Diane, what if we offer her cash? Whitfield, do you have $1.6 million liquid? Victor, no. Whitfield, then you're negotiating from weakness. Here are your options. Pay $1.625 million in cash by May 8th. Requires liquidating assets, possibly selling properties, laying off staff. Let Angelina convert debt to equity. She gets 63% ownership, you become minority shareholder. Negotiate hybrid, partial cash plus some equity, but she'll still likely get majority control. Or file bankruptcy, destroys the company, your reputation, Garrett's future. I strongly advise option 3. Negotiate the best deal you can. She holds all the cards. Victor didn't leave his office for 4 days. His desk was buried in financial statements, rejected loan applications, half-eaten takeout. Diane brought him coffee, found him asleep on the couch. Garrett, fired and humiliated, moved back in with them. Started working at a rival real estate firm. Lower position, $68,000 salary, huge pay cut from his $95,000 VP role. He sent me one final text before I blocked him. I'm sorry. For everything. The lawsuit, the credit, the money I took. I'll pay it back. Please don't destroy Dad's company. I didn't respond. March 18th. First settlement offer. Whitfield emailed Brennan. $920,000 cash, paid over 3 years, in exchange for Angelina releasing all claims, debt forgiveness, plus no equity conversion. I laughed when Brennan read it to me. They're offering half what Grandma's owed, in installments, and they want me to forgive the rest? That's the offer. Counteroffer. Full $1.625 million in 60 days, or I take 63%. No negotiation. Brennan sent the response. Whitfield called him. Sam, come on. Be reasonable. This will destroy Victor. Victor destroyed himself. He had 16 years to pay Eleanor back. He bought a $2.3 million house instead. What does Angelina want? What's her endgame? Justice and recognition. Second settlement offer came April 3rd, 28 days until deadline. $1.2 million cash, paid over 18 months, plus permanent board seat, plus 5% additional equity, total 30% for Angelina, in exchange for debt release. I read it. Texted Brennan. Still not full payment. Still trying to keep control. No. Brennan responded. Thomas, Ms. Escobel rejects Proposal 2. She is not interested in board participation or partial payment, full amount or equity conversion. This is her final position. 34 days remain. Victor threw his phone across the office. The screen cracked. Diane watched from the doorway. Victor, Maybe we should just let her have the equity. We can still run day-to-day operations. She'll fire us, Diane. She'll kick me out of my own company. It was your mother's company first. Garrett started updating his resume. Employees were panicking, rumors spread. An anonymous Glassdoor review appeared. Company in chaos, family drama between owners, considering leaving before it implodes. 14 key employees, project managers, senior sales staff, started interviewing elsewhere. Victor held an emergency all-hands meeting. Everything is fine. Just some family financial matters being resolved. Your jobs are safe. Nobody believed him. They'd seen the audit report leak. Someone in finance whispered to someone in sales, and it spread. One senior project manager emailed Victor. I've been with Esquibel Properties for 9 years. I've always been loyal. But I need to know, is the company stable? I have a family to support. If you can't give me assurance, I need to start looking elsewhere. Victor's response. I promise you, we're working through a temporary issue. Please stay. News articles started appearing. Phoenix Business Journal. Real estate firm faces internal dispute. Arizona Republic. Family business drama unfolds at anniversary party. Industry blog. Is Esquibel Properties the next family implosion? Victor set up a Google alert for Esquibel Properties. Every morning, new articles. He texted me directly. I'd unblocked him temporarily to monitor. You're destroying 60 people's livelihoods. Is that what Grandma would have wanted? I responded. Only reply I sent. Grandma wanted you to pay your debts. You have 28 days. April 22nd, 16 days until deadline. Final settlement offer. $1.5 million cash, scraped together via personal loans, asset sales, plus 10% additional equity, total 35% for Angelina, plus Garrett steps down from VP role in exchange for debt release and agreement not to conduct further audits. This was everything they could possibly offer. I could see the desperation in the numbers. $1.5 million meant they'd sold something, probably one of the rental properties, taken out personal loans against the house. I considered it for 48 hours. Called Brennan. If I take this, I get $1.5 million and 35%. I'd still be minority shareholder, but I'd be financially secure. True. But you wouldn't get justice. You wouldn't get what Eleanor wanted, for you to control the company she built. What do you think Grandma would want me to do? I think she'd want you to finish what she started. I wrote the email to Brennan. Sam, I've decided. Reject Proposal 3. We proceed with equity conversion. On May 8th, if they haven't paid $1.625 million in full, I take 63%. Tell them it's over. Brennan sent it. April 24th, 5:47 p.m. Victor read it at 6:02 p.m. Collapsed into his chair. Diane found him crying. First time she'd seen him cry in 20 years. He whispered, I've lost. She's taking everything. May 7th, 2025. One day before deadline. Victor called me. I picked up. Angelina, please. I'm your father. Grandma was your mother. You let her die poor. I hung up. Final conversation. They thought time would soften me. Every day that passed, I got stronger. May 8th, 2025. 11:59 p.m. Arizona time. No payment arrived. Brennan emailed me. Deadline passed. No wire transfer, no cashier's check. Proceed with conversion? I was in Seattle, watching the clock. Proceed. May 9th, 9 a.m. Brennan filed equity conversion paperwork with the Arizona Corporation Commission. May 9th, 5 p.m. Official shareholder registry updated. New ownership. Angelina Esquibel, 63%. Victor Esquibel, 27%. Diane Esquibel, 10%. I was the majority shareholder, controlling member. The Arizona Corporation Commission sent an automated email to all shareholders. Notice of Ownership Change, Esquibel Properties, LLC. Effective May 9th, 2025. Angelina Maria Esquibel now holds 63% membership interest. Controlling member. All prior corporate resolutions requiring majority vote are subject to Ms. Esquibel's approval. Board meeting required within 30 days to elect officers. I took a screenshot of my shareholder certificate, sent it to my therapist with a message. I did it. Victor received this same email, called Whitfield. Can she kick me out? She's the majority owner. She can do whatever she wants. May 15th, 2025. Emergency board meeting, required by the LLC operating agreement after an ownership change. Location? Esquibel Properties Conference Room, 10th floor, downtown Phoenix. Present, me, Victor, Diane, Garrett, as VP, non-voting observer, Brennan as my attorney, Whitfield as Victor's attorney, the two uncles, both board members. I walked in at 9 a.m. First time I'd ever been inside this building. Glass walls, modern furniture, photos of completed projects lining the hallways. I'd been excluded from this place my entire life. I sat at the head of the table, the chair Victor usually occupied. He started to say something. I held up my hand. Thank you for coming. As majority shareholder, I'm exercising my right to restructure leadership. Victor interrupted. Angelina, please. Dad, you'll have your turn to speak. Right now, I'm speaking. I opened my folder, read from my notes. Victor Esquibel will remain as CEO, reporting to the board, which I will chair. If performance declines or further financial misconduct is discovered, I reserve the right to remove him. Victor's shoulders sagged. Garrett Esquibel is terminated, effective immediately. Severance, $0, forfeited due to embezzlement. He has 48 hours to vacate his office and return all company assets. Criminal charges will not be filed if he signs a full liability waiver and enters a repayment plan. $186,000 over 10 years, $1,550 per month. Garrett stood up. This is bullshit. You can't just fire me. I can. And I did. You embezzled $186,000. You're lucky I'm not pressing charges. He stormed out, slammed the conference room door. The glass panel cracked. Diane Esquibel retains her title as COO, but her scope is reduced. She'll handle HR and admin only, no financial authority. We're hiring an external CFO to be vetted by me. Diane was crying. How can you do this to your family? You taught me family doesn't matter, remember? Wrong order. I continued. Full forensic audit will be conducted annually. Any misappropriation over $5,000 triggers automatic board review and potential termination. Dividend policy changed. 50% of annual profit distributed to shareholders. I'll receive 63% of dividends. New projects over $500,000 require my approval. Whitfield leaned over to Victor, whispered something. Victor signed the restructuring agreement. His hands shook. Diane refused to sign. I looked at her. Your signature isn't required. I'm informing you as a courtesy. The meeting ended at 10:15 a.m. The uncles sat in stunned silence. Victor didn't look at me. I walked to his old office, my office now, sat in his chair, looked around. There was a photo on the credenza, Victor and Eleanor, 1987 ribbon cutting, both smiling, young, hopeful. I picked it up, whispered, I finished it, Grandma. The next 2 weeks were chaos. Garrett, fired and broke, moved in with Victor and Diane. Got a job at a competitor, $68,000, huge pay cut. Refused to speak to me. He sent one final text. I hope you're happy. You destroyed our family. I didn't respond. Victor went through the motions, came to the office, signed documents I required, but his spirit was gone. Employees whispered he was a ghost. Diane told her church friends I was ungrateful and cruel. But when they asked for details, she couldn't explain without admitting Victor's debt. The uncles quietly sided with me. They'd seen the audit. They knew Garrett was corrupt. They knew Victor was reckless. An employee sent me a Slack message, screenshot from the company's internal channel. Did you guys see the new ownership structure? Victor's daughter owns 63%. Garrett got fired. Apparently, he stole money? Wild. But honestly, she seems sharp. Met her briefly. She asked good questions about our Q2 pipeline. Maybe this is good for us? I received the first monthly financial report under the new structure. Revenue, stable. Employee retention, 58 of 60 remained. 2 left. Both Garrett's friends. First quarter dividend payment to me, $42,000. I deposited it. Thought, this is Grandma's money. I'll use it wisely. June 2nd, 2025. Victor called me. First time since the May 8th deadline. Angelina, we need to talk. Not about business. About us. Can we try to fix this? I paused. I don't know, Dad. Can we? I didn't destroy the company. I restructured it, with me in charge. June through August 2025. I stayed in Seattle, managed Esquibel properties remotely, monthly board meetings via Zoom, quarterly reviews of financials, approval of major contracts. The company stabilized, revenue grew, employees adjusted. I started intensive therapy. Dr. Lisa Chen, specialist in family estrangement and complex trauma. First session, I broke down. I won. I got everything Grandma wanted me to have, so why do I feel empty? Dr. Chen leaned forward. Because you're grieving two things: the family you never had and the family you wish you had. Over 8 sessions, we processed childhood neglect, anger at my parents, guilt over Garrett's downfall, even though he deserved it, grief over Eleanor's death, fear that I'd become as cold as them. You set boundaries, Dr. Chen said. That's not cruel, that's self-preservation. But I destroyed their lives. Did you? Or did you expose the destruction they caused themselves? I cried. I just wanted them to love me. I know. And it's okay to mourn that they couldn't. I kept a journal, therapy homework, wrote letters I'd never send. Dear Dad, I forgive you for not seeing me. I don't forgive what you did to Grandma, but I'm letting go of needing you to validate me. I validate myself now. Angelina. Session 8, August 15th. Dr. Chen asked, what do you want your life to look like in 5 years? I want to help people who feel invisible, like I did. So what's stopping you? I smiled. Nothing anymore. September 2025. I called my old law school roommate, Jenna Hartman, no relation to Eleanor, but I loved the cosmic coincidence. We met for coffee in Portland. She was burned out from her mid-size firm, working 80-hour weeks on commercial real estate deals that made rich people richer. What if we started our own firm? I said. Specialize in real estate law for small businesses, nonprofits, women-owned companies, people who get screwed by big firms' fees. Jenna's eyes lit up. Are you serious? Dead serious. I have capital, you have clients. Let's build something Grandma would be proud of. We shook hands. October 1st, 2025. Hartman and Esquibel, PLLC opened its doors. Small office in Seattle, 1,200 square feet, modern, minimalist. Just Jenna and me at first. We plan to hire a paralegal by year-end. Our tagline, building justice, one contract at a time. I hung Eleanor's original 1987 blueprint on the office wall, the one she'd shown me when I was 8. Beside it, I framed my first contract drafted at the new firm for a woman-owned bakery opening in Capitol Hill. Our first client walked in on October 3rd, a woman in her 40s, an immigrant, starting a cleaning business. She couldn't afford big firm rates. We'll work with you, I told her. Payment plan, reduced rate. We help people like you. She cried with relief. November 2025. I used $50,000 from my first dividend payment to establish the Eleanor Hartman Scholarship Fund for Women in Law and Architecture. Partnered with Arizona State University. First year, 3 recipients. $15,000 each. Covered tuition and books for 1 year. I personally interviewed each finalist. Maria was 18, daughter of a construction worker, wanted to be an architect. We met at a coffee shop in Tempe. She was nervous, clutching her portfolio. Ms. Escabel, I don't know how to thank you. My dad said architecture isn't for girls, but this scholarship, it means someone believes in me. I was crying, couldn't help it. Someone did believe in you. My grandmother, she was an architect too, and she'd want you to succeed. I handed her a framed photo, copy of Eleanor's 1987 ribbon cutting. Keep this. When people tell you that you can't, remember, you can. We hugged. The scholarship website went live in December. Homepage featured Eleanor's quote, "A building either stands or it falls. No room for lies." Below it, "This fund stands for girls told they can't. We say, you can." December 15th. I received a handwritten letter from Maria. Dear Ms. Escabel, I started classes. My professor said my blueprint design is exceptional. I'm crying writing this. Thank you for seeing me. Maria. I read it 3 times. Whispered, Grandma, she's us. We did it. December 20th, 2025. 9 months after the anniversary blow-up. Victor called. I'd kept his number unblocked but hadn't answered in months. This time, I picked up. Angelina, it's Dad. I wanted to call before Christmas. I know you're probably busy. What do you need, Dad? I don't need anything. I wanted to say I'm sorry. For everything. For the wrong order comment. For not paying Mom back. For not seeing you. Long silence. Are you sorry you did it? Or sorry you got caught? He paused. Both. But mostly the first one. I've been in therapy. Diane and I are trying to understand why we treated you that way. And? I think I was scared. You're so much like Mom. Smart, driven, principled. I knew I'd never measure up, so I pushed you away instead. That's not an excuse, Dad. I know. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I just wanted you to know. I see you now, and I'm proud of what you've built. I was surprised. You're proud? Your firm, the scholarship, even what you did with the company, it needed restructuring. I was running it into the ground. I don't know if we can fix this, Dad. I know, but maybe we can try? No pressure, just, if you ever want to talk, I'm here. I'll think about it. After the call, I sat in silence for 10 minutes. Didn't cry, didn't smile, just felt something. Not forgiveness yet, but maybe the door opening a crack. I texted Dr. Chen. Dad called. He apologized. I don't know what to do. She responded, You don't have to decide today. Healing isn't linear. December 31st, 2025, New Year's Eve. I was alone in my Seattle apartment. I declined invitations from Jenna and friends. I wanted quiet. I opened my laptop, wrote one final journal entry. Dear Grandma Eleanor, it's been almost 2 years since you died. I miss you every day, but I'm okay. Better than okay. I took the company like you wanted. I built a firm in your name. I'm helping girls who were told they're not enough, just like you helped me. I don't know if I'll ever fix things with Dad. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. But I know this. I'm not the wrong order anymore. I'm the correction. I'm the next chapter, and I'm writing it my way. Thank you for seeing me. Thank you for believing in me. Thank you for giving me the tools to fight back. I love you. Always. Angelina. I closed my laptop, looked out the window. Seattle skyline, fireworks starting at midnight. I poured a glass of champagne, raised it alone. To wrong orders, and to the women who turn them into masterpieces. I drank, smiled. I'm not the wrong order. I'm the next chapter. If you've ever been called a mistake by the people who were supposed to love you, drop a comment. Let me know where you're watching from. And if this story hit home, If you fought your way out of a family that didn't see you, hit subscribe. There are more stories like this, more receipts, more justice. Because sometimes, the wrong order becomes the architect of everything.